FOIL multiplication is an abbreviation that we use to explain another method that you can use for multiplication when you're doing specifically a binomial times a binomial. And a lot of the problems that we're going to be looking at in our course and in your Math 55 course deal with this specific pattern of binomial and binomial. So I'm going to give you an alternative method to the vertical multiplication that you can use for binomial times binomial only. Okay. So FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. Okay. And that's the order that we're going to do the multiplication in. We'll multiply the first two terms together, then the outer terms together, then the inner terms together, and then the last terms together. And these outer and inner terms will often be similar or like terms, so if they are, you're going to want to combine any like terms at the end. This has also been described as double distribution. So if you think about the monomial, where we had just one term in our first polynomial that we were distributing over several terms in the second one, well, now we're going to look at what would it look like to distribute the d over the d in the negative 3 and also distribute the 8 over the d in negative 3. So our first terms are the d's. When we multiply those together, we get d squared. Our outer terms are this d times this negative 3. The inner terms are 8 times d. And then the last terms are this positive 8 times a negative 3, which gives us a negative 24. Then you can see that these two terms, the negative 3d and the positive 8d, are like terms. So when we combine those together, our final answer becomes d squared plus 5d minus 24. Number 84 is going to be similar, except that this time we have a leading coefficient of 7. Doing the first terms, we get 7m squared. Our outer terms gives us a negative 14m. Our inner terms, a negative 5m. And our last terms, a positive 10. Combining these like terms together again, we're going to get 7m squared minus 19m plus 10 as our final answer. In this next example, each of the terms in our binomials have variables on them. So let's see what one of those would look like. First terms multiplied together still gives us a squared. Our outer terms is a negative 4. When you multiply negative 4b times a, we're going to get negative 4ab. So you'll notice that the a ended up jumping in the middle of this 4b term. It's the habit of mathematicians to like order, so we always write our variable parts of our terms in alphabetical order. So that's why the a is jumping in between the 4 and the b there. So those are our outer terms. Our inner terms is going to give us a plus 6ab. And then our last terms will give us a negative 24b squared. Combining the negative 4ab and the positive 6ab gives us a final answer of a squared plus 2ab minus 24b squared. And in our final example, we're going to try one where both of the leading terms have coefficients. So a 4s times a 9t will give us 36st. Our outers give us a positive 8s. Our inners give us a positive 9t, and our last terms a positive 2. And this is the first example where we can't combine these two middle terms. Since we had an s in this and a t here, our two middle terms don't end up being like terms. So our final answer is just 36st plus 8s plus 9t plus 2.